Hi Sagittarius, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your September 2026 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's a 12 card spread with each card representing a different house of the zodiac. Starting with your sign, Sagittarius is the first house, all the way through to Scorpio representing the 12th. Once we get to the main spread, we'll pull an oracle card as well with some additional insight. And as far as the decks being used this month, for the main tarot deck, we have the Brady tarot, and for the oracle deck, we have the wisdom of the oracle. We're actually going to start the reading off our roll notes of astrology ice in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, we have Aries. So for you guys, Aries is actually your fifth house of romance, creativity, and children. As far as what we have going on there astrologically, we have Neptune there retrograde, Saturn's also there retrograde. About midway through the month, Chiron's going to return back there as well, retrograde. And toward the very end of September, around the 26th or so, we're going to have a full moon in Aries. So yeah, plenty of indicators why this would come up for the dice as well, but looks like your fifth house is going to be pretty active this month. All right, we also have Uranus, so that would point to your seventh house because it's currently in Gemini. And actually, Uranus is going to start a retrograde on the 10th of September. So makes sense to see that come up. But yeah, seventh house points to partnerships, contracts, relationships. So if things have seemed a little chaotic there recently, the retrograde can actually help slow things down or at least give you a little more clarity on that. And we have 10. So yeah, I mean, really this makes sense as well because for you guys, your 10th house is Virgo. And of course, plenty going on there, right? We're going to be in Virgo season until around the 22nd or 23rd of September. There's going to be a new moon in Virgo on the 10th of September. Let's see, we have Mercury about to move into Virgo on the 25th of August, and then it'll be there till the 10th of September. And I feel like I'm forgetting one, but no, not really, but I mean, that's still plenty, right? So yeah, so the dice definitely seem to align with the astrology quite well, but we'll keep all that in mind as we go through the main spread. All right, so for your first house of personality, self-awareness, and appearance, we have growth. So this is the Seven of Roots or Seven of Pentacles in a lot of decks, which is actually Taurus energy. So for some of you, this could just be saying that maybe you're actually gaining more valuable experience within your work environment than you might see on the surface. But more so, really, the first thing that came to mind with this for me, given that sixth house also points to health, could just be saying that, so a super generic way it could be playing out, right? Maybe you guys have been going to the gym and working hard, right? But you feel like you're not seeing any results of it, but yet when you go out and your friends who haven't seen you for a while see you, they're like, oh, you look great, right? It could be one of those things where you're not feeling the growth around what you've been doing, but it's actually evident to more people around you. Or it could just be saying that even if it's not clearly outwardly reflected yet, it will be in time. So I feel like this is just saying that, you may be a little further ahead than you might feel like you are right now on the surface. For your second house of possession, self-worth, and finances, we have the Mother of Roots. So this is the equivalent to the Queen of Pentacles, which is a Capricorn energy, and that's actually your natural second house. So seeing this here, to me, says that you have some strong foundations built when it comes to that area of life. And again, this could be in everything, right? If we look at the artwork, we see a lot going on beneath the surface versus what's visible on the outside. So it could just be in everything where it's saying, perception versus reality, right? You might not feel like you're as far ahead as you actually might be at this time. And again, seeing those strong roots there to me says that, yeah, over time, you'll start to see evidence of that in the outward environment. But right now, you just might not be feeling it yet. So for your third house of communication, short journeys, and siblings, we have the Three of Roots, which is work in this deck. So more Capricorn energy here, actually. So yeah, so actually this could just be saying that maybe you'll have some conversations that do bring more to your realization that, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I'm a little further ahead than I realized. Or this could just be productive conversations, working out how to get there, right? So if you feel like you're really not there yet, this could be having a conversation with the right person or group of people that actually feels like it puts you in a better place for the future. All right, so for your fourth house of home, roots, and family, we have the daughter of roots. So this is actually the equivalent of the page of pentacles. And yeah, this is just saying that you might actually feel grounded within your home environment. Maybe you recently moved. If so, it might have been to get closer to nature, right? And if that's the case, you could just be absorbed in that new environment. Um, but yeah, either way, I feel like this is saying you're going to be feeling a little bit relaxed in your home environment, but like there's still some exploring to do, some growing to do within that environment too. All right, so for your fifth house, so that's Aries, and I came up with the dice as well. And like we mentioned, there's plenty going on there, but the tarot card for your fifth house is also pretty solid. It's Union. So this is the Two of Horns or Two of Cups in a lot of decks. So yeah, so this could be saying that this month you might actually find yourselves with someone who you actually feel like is a good match to you. So that could be something in the early stages for some of you, but at the very least, even if it's not so much in the early stages, you might feel like that real natural rhythm with each other where everything still feels fresh, right, and exciting. So that definitely looks like a positive indicator there. And if this is more of, it doesn't necessarily have to mean romance with fifth house, could be around creativity too. This could be tying back to what we were saying with the work, right? Where maybe you have conversations with someone about partnering up in some way. And it would be in a way that could actually benefit you both. All right, so for your sixth house of home, work, and health, work, and daily routines, we have truth. So this is really the Ace of Arrows in this deck, but Ace of Swords in most decks. And seeing this here could just be saying that, yeah, maybe you have some valuable realizations this month as far as where you might be, right? So seeing this in the sixth house, and we were talking about sixth house energy a little bit, given that you have a Taurus energy there, but it also makes me think of the fact that Chiron has briefly been in Taurus, and around the 17th, it's going to move back into Aries. So for some of you, that could have given you some insight into this area of life too, right? So maybe where you might have had some unhealed wounds when it comes to your work lives, or some daily habits that you might have had that weren't healthy for you, right? But now you actually got to see them through a different lens and address them differently. So whatever the case may be, I feel like this is saying you're going to get some solid insight into how to move forward with this new information. All right, so for your seventh house of partnerships, contracts, and relationships, we have the Two of Arrows, which is armistice. So yeah, I feel like this is saying that you could actually find yourselves now, the artwork looks a little more harsh, but this could just be saying that if there was some kind of a falling out that you had with someone, you might actually be able to make peace around that, right? So even if not directly with that person, maybe you're able to look at it through a different lens and realize that, okay, maybe rather than, a villain and a victim, maybe there was some more mutual blame around the situation to go around, and that could help you release it in more peace. But yeah, given that this card represents a Libra energy, just does make me think of the fact that we'll have Venus start its pre-retrograde shadow period, so that'll start right around the 31st of August. It's technically going to keep moving into Scorpio before it eventually does retrograde. Not in September, it'll be further along in the year, but that could at least be part of what's bringing it up to the surface for you guys. Just looking at those things from that different perspective. All right, so for your eighth house of death, rebirth, investments, intimacy, we have the Four of Feathers, optimism. So this is the equivalent of the Four of Wands. It's an Aries energy. So yeah, so this could just be saying, tying back to what we were saying with the fifth house, right? With the union energy. Just be saying that you might feel yourselves renewed when it comes to partnering up, whether it be around finances or, like we said, for some of you, more of a romantic venture, right? With intimacy. You could just be feeling a lot of excitement around that at this time. All right, so for your ninth house of higher learning, foreign affairs, philosophy, we have the Nine of Roots, which is accomplishment. So this is actually a Virgo energy here. And yeah, I feel like this is saying that for some of you might actually have gotten some, like let's say a physical certification, or maybe some of you got a degree recently. But even if there isn't something tangible in that regard around it, I feel like this is saying you're able to see what you've accomplished at this point through a different lens. It actually makes you feel more confident in your abilities, right? So, not at all in like a egotistical way, but just more of one that puts you on sure footing that, okay, as you move forward, you feel like, all right, I have a lot of knowledge and experience behind me, and I could actually use that to propel me forward into the next venture that I want to pursue. All right, so for your 10th house, which also came up with the dice, we have a strong card here. We have the Chariot. So this is the Major Arcana card for Cancer. And seeing this here is interesting because, it makes me think the first thing that came to mind with Cancer energy was that you did have your ruler, which is Jupiter in Cancer, you know, a little over the past year or so, and it's more recently moved into Leo earlier in this year, but that was the first place on our mind went. But also with this, it makes me think of the fact that we also have Mars moving through Cancer, right? So for you guys, that's really a bit of a quieter area of the zodiac as far as it's your 8th house. But to me, that could be saying that the work you're putting in, which 10th house for you is technically Virgo, and there's plenty going on in Virgo too, like we mentioned, right? As we move through Virgo season, I feel like those things are working together and actually pulling you forward. For some of you, might feel like it's necessarily not even something you necessarily plan for, too, right? So, the main thing that was going on with Virgo for a while was the South Node was moving through there. Now it's recently moved into Leo, so that could have been one of those things where you might have felt like things were a bit more out of your control around career, but maybe in a more negative sense, right? So now that the energy finally cleared out, I feel like this is saying now you actually could see some more positive momentum when it comes to that area of life for you guys. But again, I feel like there could be that element of something still a bit unexpected about it, but just not in a bad way. All right, so for your 11th house of friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes, we have withdrawal. So this is the 4 of arrows, 4 of swords in a lot of decks. And this is another interesting thing that brings me back to what I was saying earlier with the pre-retrograde shadow period going on. That's going to be starting in Libra right at the end of August and through the first 10 days of September. Because for you guys, Libra is your group, your house of groups, friendships, hopes, and wishes. So there could be something you could be reevaluating there. And again, I feel like it's very similar to what I said with the 7th house too, where you might be making peace around a situation from the past, right? Something that might have really bothered you, even if that person or group of people isn't necessarily still in your life at this time. I feel like you're looking at it through a slightly different lens now and making it easier for you to release any hurt around it or any resentment, things along those lines. And again, for some of you, that could leave the door open for you to physically reconnect with those people, but if not, at the very least, it helps you release it and helps you approach your newer connections in a more healthy way, right, without carrying that unhealed wound with you. All right, and for your 12th house, which points to blind spots, mental health, and spirituality, we have swiftness. So this actually is the 8 of feathers, 8 of wands in a lot of decks, which is a Sagittarius energy. So for you guys to have at least your own energy in your 12th house could be a positive, right? So yeah, it could just be one of those things though where I feel like your mind still might be racing a little bit and you still might throw yourselves off guard, right? With the thoughts that come to mind. Doesn't necessarily have to be negative. Right now, we could see a definitely clear difference in situations for the two animals, right? But at the same time, I feel like it's saying it doesn't necessarily have to be a negative that your mind's going to be racing. It could just be one of those things where something that you hadn't expected to come up might come up to the surface and then you could deal with it accordingly. And for some of you, that might be tying into what we were seeing with the career energy as well. Bottom of the deck, we have loss. So this is the 5 of horns or 5 of cups in a lot of decks, which is a Scorpio energy. So speaking of 12th house, actually this is your natural 12th house. And to see this here, I feel like this is more of looking back on something from the past, right? And there's some disappointment there. So you can see how that could tie into what we were saying with the 7th house and 11th house energies, right? To where, like I said, in the past, if you viewed, oh, the other party was the villain, I was the victim, right? And now you look at it through a slightly different lens and realize that, okay, maybe that wasn't the full story, right? Maybe there was a little bit more shared blame than you might have realized at the time. Or maybe it was just a misunderstanding that blew out of control, right? There could be some disappointment around that loss now because you come to that realization like, wow, at the time I was really feeling like this person did something against me in a negative sense. But now with time, experience, growth, right, I view it through a different lens, and now there's some disappointment there, right? About like, hey, what could have been? But yeah, I feel like that's just something that you're going to be processing. Probably won't take up the entirety of your month. Again, this can just point to, like I said, technically, Venus will move into these degrees of Scorpio around the 10th of September. So if you feel it around the middle of the month, that might be, a little bit more likely. But again, I feel like it'll be short term. But again, I feel like it's still going to help you gain perspective and be on surer footing moving forward. But we'll see what the Oracle card adds to the mix. So I'm going to give this a few shuffles, then we'll cut the deck and pull a card, and we'll wrap the reading up with that. Okay, we'll take this card here, get this out of the way, and we'll see what you got. All right, we got Loyal Heart. There's the artwork, and the number is 35. It's interesting, right? Going back to what I was saying, where, maybe you might have read into a situation in the past one way, and then now you're looking at it through a slightly different lens, but we'll see what it says in the book. All right, essential meanings says fidelity, loyalty, devotion. The oracle's message: evidence of loyalty will appear in your life. Others will prove that they are faithful to you, and you will in turn commit fully to them. There is a sure and abiding certainty in your heart. Know that Spirit is always loyal to you. No matter the outer circumstances in your life, trust and have faith, for you are eternally loved, always divinely protected, and divinely directed. So yeah, so definitely a positive message there. And again, seems to tie into what we were talking about, right, with the 7th house energy, 11th house energy that we saw earlier. And even in the more present moment, right, seeing that 5th house energy. But, well, we'll keep reading. The relationship message says your partnerships, friendships, and romantic relationships all have many qualities in common right now. Honest devotion, faithfulness, and a loyal heart are being shown to you. Are you as loyal in return? Now is the time for heartfelt commitments and trusting in divine protection. So yeah, that's a strong message there too, right? Maybe that was part of the shift for you guys, right? Maybe as you started to get more faith, like I was saying there, funny enough, I wasn't necessarily viewing it through like a relationship lens at the time, and I was saying this could point to you having more faith that, hey, the experiences I've gone through in the past are actually going to help me as I move forward toward the future. So it could be tying into that too. The prosperity message says your long-term loyalty to your goals is becoming evident in the world of conditions where your aspirations for success assume form and reality. Success is finally taking shape. If you are loyal to your dreams, faithful to your plans while remaining flexible, and devoted to serving others, you will be shown proof of your true prosperity. This is a time for a joyful celebration of Spirit, your manifesting partner. So yeah, that was an interesting message too, because that makes me think back to what I was saying, where we see these energies of strong roots and things going on beneath the surface, right? So you might not feel like you're as far ahead as you might be in the reality. And it could just be saying that, because you did stay on course and keep that faith, now you're going to start to see more evidence of that start to show up in the outer world. So, yeah, definitely an interesting read there, but hopefully that resonated for you guys, and we'll wrap up there. All right, bye.